This is the last thing that I needed to happen right now, and it could ruin all of my hard work, so I've just got to go really, really quickly. Today I'm working on my tiles, the tiles for the bathroom of the coach house, and it's one of the only things that's holding us up still. I'm doing it in the kitchen, very gently, because you don't want dust going around, and the kids are out today, so I feel okay about doing it in here. I'm just tidying up tiny bits of the designs. They're never going to be perfect. I don't want them to be perfect because Dandon in the doorway, as always. I gave him some French fries earlier and now he wants more. I don't want them to be perfect because that's not the point of handmade tiles, but they just need a bit of tidying up in some places. And then I'm going to fire them, then glaze them, and then hopefully we can fit them in the bathroom, and then we can look at the colour scheme in there, finish it, and then move in. I failed to find my notes from what I fired them at before, but I've done my research, I've looked at the kiln previous firing schedule, and I've made a decision. So I'm just going to load my tiles now and then press play. This is the precarious bit where you don't want to suddenly drop and break the things that you've been working on for so long. I briefly forgot about some extra bits I was going to put in. Firstly, 2 little pinch pots made by Margot. And then finally, something I was aiming to do for Christmas for Marc. I've never made anything really with clay. I created him an espresso cup in the shape of a wine glass, so he can drink espresso in the mornings, reminded of his favourite drink in the world. I've also got here 2 experimental tiles which are part of another project that I'm working on, that we're filming separately from this so that it's not going to get all confused together. So I'm not going to tell you about it right now, but just in case you wonder later where I magically fired them, it was now. This knows where I'm going to put them now. I don't really know who's going to try and steal my stoneware, or if anyone's going to try and jump out during the firing. I also have to leave the vent open now until it reaches 600 degrees because that lets all of the vapour out and anything that's burnt off. So I'm going to have to calculate with my timings once I get back in the warm and work out what time I need to come out and close the vent. I'll press start. Maybe I'm going to be getting up in the middle of the night to close the vent. It's now 26 hours since the firing ended, but it's really important that it cools down incredibly slowly. So I have to essentially lock Marc in the house because he always wants to come and see them too early, but you risk cracking them. It's more important at the glazing stage, but still important now. So this is the moment I see. Well, there's no visible explosion, which is extremely good news. That is heavy. Lovely. Let's take them outside for a closer look. We are lucky. It doesn't seem to be going to rain today, so I'm going to do it outside right next to the barn where we fire them, which means that I can then don't have very far to go to move them back in. I've only done powdered enamelling once before, and it was very stressful. For a start, it was on TV, and they insisted we filmed at a certain time when I was 6 months pregnant, and it was 39 degrees outside. Celsius. The problem is that you put water with it and then you put it on, but it immediately becomes powder again. And so it's then very difficult to transport into the kiln without disrupting it, but I'll give it a go. First thing I'm going to do is scrub these down. They're from our old oven. Those of you who've been following us for a while will have seen that our oven bit the dust. It started smoking and not from the oven itself, from the electrical timer on the front. So we had to take it out, but I kept these because I think they're going to be great for resting the glaze on. It's not edible. It's not edible. Hey? It's not. Marc doesn't know what colour I'm using. It's going to be a surprise. He knows it's one of two blues, but the problem was we'd bought some glazes a couple of years ago that we liked, but without a sort of specific project in mind. When we did this one, we thought, oh, we should go and choose one specifically, but it's 2 hours each way along a motorway and it's a bit stressful to get there. So in the interest of just getting it done, we thought, well, we'll pick one we already liked. The two colours we had, one was a more purple and one was a more like a kind of navy blue. We all agreed that the sensible choice was the fairly bland, dark navy blue, but then I just felt like it didn't really celebrate these tiles, which I've been working on for so long. In the end, I said to Marc, I've had a vision about the colour scheme because I went in this morning. Do you trust me? And he said, no, clearly. He said no. And then he said, oh, go on, all right then. So we're going to see if he likes what I'm going to do. And we're going to do the more purpley one. Because these are kind of flower designs. I feel like they need to have either a green or for the leaves, or the sort of a red or purple for the rest of it. My concern is about the technique that I use to get this on here. I've previously used the spraying one, but I didn't feel very comfortable with that because it seemed to blow the powder off. So I'm going to try dipping it now. I realise I'm going to get it all over my fingers, but it's not a leaded. Not as even as I thought it might be. I'm doing the edges here because we're thinking we might expose at least one of the edges of these. Some flat ones to make myself feel better. The whole point of handmade tiles is that they're going to be uneven. So I'm just embracing that. They're going to be beautifully uneven. The idea behind this doing it with a design that's imprinted or raised in relief is that you only need to use one enamel in order to get a difference in colour, because it will pool in the low bits and run off the high bits. There are all sorts of tools I could be using to make my life easier now, but I don't have them. I'm actually very, very cold now. It might have looked very bright, but we had snow yesterday and the day before, so it's pretty chilly. In fact, when I took Juliette up to her creche yesterday, there was 37 centimetres of snow, and I did a bit of sliding up the hill. So I'm just going to quickly do the pots with the rest of what I've got here, and then head indoors for a cup of tea or coffee whilst these dry. And what I've found very interesting, and potters all around the world will be screaming, of course now, is how different dipping is from pouring. And that I infinitely prefer pouring. So next time I'm going to do a setup where I put them out like this already and pour it over, but I didn't have a tray to catch it. We live and we learn. I need to let these dry now, and then I'll just check if there's any bits I need to touch up, and then it's time to fire. We've had lunch now, and my baby girl is sleeping in her pushchair. All I'm doing now is wiping the excess glaze off the back of the tiles and making sure there's none just around the very edge that would stick to the tile shelves. I have also put a special wash on there to stop them sticking, but you just want to make doubly sure, because they're very expensive, those tile shelves, and so it's not just the tile you'd be losing if they fused together, but as you can tell, I've already broken one of them. This is a really difficult bit because I've got to slide it in without touching anything, or it scrapes the glaze straight off. It's unbelievably fragile at this stage, the glaze. So two things happened at once just now. It started to rain and then the cat jumped on my sleeping baby. So I got the cat off, and now I'm trying to rush to get these out of the rain. I don't want to keep moving them places though, because that's how they get damaged. So I've changed my plan for the patterned ones. I've done a quick shelf wash on these circular shelves, and I'm going to put them in flat like this instead of trying to slide them into a tile rack, because that way I don't have to be as careful about the sides. As long as I've quickly cleaned the bottom, it's okay. Because the problem is the rain's going to splash down, which then makes the powder come off, the glaze come off and change shape. This is the last thing that I needed to happen right now, and it could ruin all of my hard work, so I've just got to go really, really quickly. I'm going to try and put this in the kiln now. Fingers crossed I don't drop it. Oh my gosh, my back hurts. That is heavy. That's why I know it looks a bit impractical doing it out there, but the closer it is, the better for me. Wow, it's just started really raining. Whew, just in time. That has really started raining now. This is the scary one for me because I don't understand the chemistry of glazes, but here we go. And we're off. I'll see them tomorrow. The kiln is now completely cold, and I have a little story to tell you about what happened, but I'm really looking forward to seeing this iteration of them. I did have a little peek, but I haven't lifted them out yet properly. Oh, they look incredible. Oh, let's take them outside and have a proper look. These are from the bottom of the kiln, and they are all looking extremely lovely. Do you like the colour? Looks like you. Now, I have a confession to make. This is not the first glaze firing. I did one after my first attempts, and I wasn't really happy with it. The coverage wasn't even enough with my smoothing of the spoon. But it's also partly the type of glaze I used. So I decided to reglaze them, just pouring on as I suspected would be the best idea. So I did that, and I poured it everywhere, and I left it to dry in the kitchen. And then a chicken got into the kitchen, and it got onto the table, and it ran across the tiles, and little clawy marks were all across my glaze. And I didn't know if I would be able to fix it or whether it would show up. So I'm not even sure I can see which one the little tiny footprints were on. I did two things. I increased the temperature that I fired them at, and I held them at the top temperature a bit longer because I felt that would be a way of making both layers of glaze blend together, and maybe it's to run a little bit, which is what I'd been hoping for, and it seems to have worked. We have a few little blips in it, but that, I think, is necessary to make them look like handmade tiles. And so far, they're all looking rather lovely. I am so pleased with this. So pleased. We just have to hope they haven't shrunk too much. Oh, something weird has gone on with that one. The glaze hasn't fully mixed, but it looks quite cool. Oh my goodness, look at the colour of that. And then I have an extra tile in case any of the patterned ones didn't look very good. But do you know what? I can't even see the one where the chicken walked on it. The worst one. I mean, he walked on quite a lot of them. They look amazing.